title of this video, we're going to be talking about the full moon in Capricorn. How are you all doing today? I hope you all are been enjoying the day, enjoying the moment, appreciating every moment, appreciating your five senses, appreciating life. You know, we are definitely in some very unique and powerful times right now. And I just wanted to come on here live real quick to make this video. I'm actually sitting outside this really cool art center. We're on every Wednesday they also have like a meditation room and stuff. So it's really cool. And they do this every Wednesday. And I've come to this a few times. I've been a bit of a hermit lately. So I was like, you know what? I need to actually get out of my apartment and I need to actually go out into the world. And that's actually kind of perfect for the energies of this full moon because there might be a tendency to want to retreat into our little sacred space or our little corner of the world that we call our home. Um, but I just wanted to talk to you all real fast just about the full moon in Capricorn and what it really means and what's happening right now, and of course the transits around it that are affecting it, obviously. And this video is not going to be super long. I even brought some cards with me too, um, so we'll draw some cards at the end. But this is a very interesting full moon. Number one is it's in Capricorn, and the moon doesn't already doesn't like to be here because the moon likes to be in Cancer. That's what it's ruled by. So when it's in Capricorn, as I said in some previous videos, it's kind of like telling a little kid that they can't have a certain thing or they can't do a certain thing, and then they throw a tantrum, right? Because they're not allowed to do something because they don't have the awareness that, you know, it affects the world, it affects other people in society, and it's not within order. Just kind of like how I told you all how the other day we saw a kid that was playing with one of the games on the little computers that they have at Chili's, and he wanted to take the game with them, but he can't take the game with them because it doesn't belong with him. The little computer doesn't belong to him, but he didn't realize that, he didn't understood that, so he started crying and started throwing a fit about it. And that kind of can be like what we might be even be experiencing, because maybe there are certain situations and certain places that we have put ourselves in that we're trying to take this to the next level, and this full moon is going to kind of tell us, well, you can't do that. I mean, you can do that, but you're not going to really get to where you really want to. And even what's going to give you that emotional fulfillment, I think what can happen during this full moon is that, you know, the individuals who don't really want to change their circumstances because they are, you know, attached to the sense of comfort, even though really they're feeling like there needs to be some type of change. There's definitely some emotional upheaval with this full moon. Um, and with all full moons, but especially with this full moon, there's definitely going to be some emotional upheaval. But it's like, do they really actually want to step up to the plate? Do they really want to actually, you know, get up off their ass and actually do the work? I think that's really what this comes down to. And I think, you know, this is also about taking different actions. I have to remember that the last time this is a pretty rare full moon because you know we have Mars would just went retrograde, right? And while it is in Aquarius, the second house of Capricorn, it will retrograde back into Capricorn during its retrograde. And not only that, but this moon is on top of Saturn. It's within a 1 degree orb of Saturn, so it's pretty much conjunct. And you know, it's not exact, of course, but Pluto is here, and the moon will come on top of Pluto tomorrow. So this is a very interesting full moon. Not only that, but it is trining Uranus and Taurus, which is it's a slight trine. It's not exact, but it's still there. The energy is there. Where it's trining Uranus, and it's also squaring Chiron and Aries. All of this energy that's surrounding this full moon is telling me that we really need to learn how to be okay with where we are right now in the world and really kind of accept where we are right now in the world. And even if that's not to say that you just stick to where you are in the world in your role, but we need to embrace the fact that where we are right now in our lives is only because of us. Yeah, there are external circumstances. There are things that happen. There are, you know, there are unfortunate things that happen. People that we love may have passed on. We might have dealt with diseases. Then we might have dealt with um, just any type of really unfortunate circumstance. Maybe being railroaded by people that seemingly had it all or had more money than us. But ultimately, we have to take responsibility for our own decision making, and we have to take responsibility for the role that we play, because we wake up every morning and then we jump into a particular role. But it's kind of funny because in the dream world we can be whatever the hell we want. We can do whatever we want. So why can't we carry that vibration into the real world? Is because you have this Capricorn energy where it's like, no, you have to have this particular order. You have to fulfill a certain role. You have to do a certain thing. So this full moon's really going to be tugging on everyone's emotions when it comes to career, legacy, how they see the world, politics, traditions. And with it on top of Saturn, this moon is really, it's not going to like it, but at the same time, what's going to happen is that if you really step up to the plate, if you really decide, if you just consciously decide to act different, behave different, to change your life in a positive way, if that's really what you want, if you want to continue living the life that you've been living, and if you are perfectly fine with it, then you absolutely can do that. But my guess is that pretty much all of us have at least something that we want to change. But that change is only going to happen if we initiate it. That's the kind of cool thing about this full moon, is that since it's in a cardinal sign like Capricorn, and cardinal signs are about initiating, it's kind of nice that we are actually getting a full moon in Capricorn right after Mars went retrograde. And Mars rules in many ways the ego and behavior and initiating things because it's Aries and stuff. But then we get this full moon on top of it. So it's like, even though the volcano is kind of becoming dormant, we're going to be making a decision on the inside, internally, emotionally, even spiritually, mentally, and physically, because all those feed into each other. That we really can take control of our lives in a sense, and really begin to move it in the direction that we really want to experience. Because any type of dreams and stuff that you have, you wouldn't have those dreams if you weren't a vibrational match to it. Now, whether it's manifested into your physical life, that's really going to be up to you. And there might be some external circumstances that can help out with that, but for the most part, it's really up to you. Mars just went retrograde in Aquarius. This also has to do with the people. This is the sign of the ego and the sign of the people and the collective. Mars just went retrograde. Chiron is in Aries, which is Mars ruled. Chiron is the wounded healer. So already, what we're experiencing right now is perhaps, even because Chiron represents our wounds and traumatic things that have happened from our past, it can also represent past life stuff that we have to let go of. And since it's in Aries, we're having to let go of behaviors and ways of being and maybe egos that have been overly toxic, where we might have stepped on other people in the past, or even in this life, in past lives, or maybe in this life, or we might have stepped on people to get what we want. We're having to heal that aspect. And it's interesting because it's like, we have to consider that, as Mars moves backwards, it is going to sextile that energy, that Chiron energy. And I'm pretty sure Chiron actually will be retrograde when that happens. Because we do have Chiron going retrograde soon. We do have Jupiter, which will actually come out of its retrograde soon as well. So we have some planets kind of coming off the retrograde and going off it. And then, of course, we have to consider that Mercury will go retrograde when it's in Leo. And Mercury's about to come into Leo, too. We also have to consider, yeah, Mercury is in Cancer right now. So this is a very interesting energy because our mind is really focused on our emotions and wanting to speak from our emotions. But since it's at the edge of Cancer, it's really, there's this deep emotional satisfaction that we're wanting from life. And there's this subconscious kind of want, or even just in like just an unaware desire to have that be fulfilled by the outside world. But it's not going to happen. Why? Pluto the planet of death and transformation, is in Capricorn, just wrecking shit. Black Moon Lilith is also in Capricorn. We have to consider that. So we actually may even fear those what we maybe even just like fear what other people want for us on a deeper level. And Mars, like I said, now is retrograde in Aquarius, the sign of people. So it's not going to come from the outside world, not at this time. It's going to come from inside. And I think what's going to happen is that even though it might not feel the best right now to step up to the plate, even though it might not feel the best to move forward in this capacity, to really have what I call emotional intelligence. Because I think that's what this is about. I think this full moon is about forging emotional strength and intelligence. And of course, having compassion for ourselves, having compassion for where we are right now in the world, having compassion for the things that we have done in the past, having compassion for just who we are, and also realizing that these different hierarchies that we have on ourselves, this social ladder, this social game that we play on ourselves, to maybe even detach from it a little bit, because Mars is retrograde, and whilst it's retrograding in Aquarius, it's not going to be so much so focused on the actions and behaviors it can do for the collective. It's going to be more turned internal for the collective of this universe, because we are a universe too, right? So what can we do for this universe? Because that's how we're going to affect everything that we see outside of ourselves, even though technically all this is inside of us, technically. But that's how you're going to affect change out here, is by going within. So, you know, this is going to be a very powerful full moon of learning emotional strength, emotional intelligence, having compassion for ourselves, and having compassion for other people. Because I think what we're realizing is that we're all the same. We're all uniquely different, but we're all the same. We are all intricate, intricately connected to each other in this beautifully woven, energetic blanket called the universe, multiverse, whatever you want to call it, whatever this experience is. We are all connected, and we all have a gift. We all have a light to shine. We have to remember, of course, that you know this energy right here, the full moon, is going to be quincunxing the North Node in Leo. So the interesting thing about that, I like to call the quincunx as the awkward stare from across the room. Not per se bad, just a little weird. It's you wanting to approach that person at the bar, you wanting to approach that person, say from like high school, and you pass by this one chick or this one dude's locker every single day, and they're hanging out with their friends, and you're like talking with your friends about, oh, how cute this person is, and then one day when you happen to not be with your friends and they happen to not be with their friends, y'all make eye contact, they smile, and you get so flushed, you're like, oh my gosh, she actually smiled at me, and you like bump into someone who's opening their locker, and they're like, oh my gosh, and they're like, you look at them, they look at you, they kind of awkwardly smile, and they run out the other direction, and you're like, fuck, I messed up my opportunity. That was your only opportunity. Damn it, man. Get your shit together. That is what a quincunx kind of is. So it's like, perfect example would be, I watched the Goofy movie like about a month ago. Me and my fiance, great movie, love that movie. And there was a scene in the movie where he had that awkward moment with like the romantic interest, and he awkwardly laughed like his dad. He did the whole yuck thing, or I don't know exactly how it goes, but he did that, and she kind of laughed at it, and then like he like ran off because he was so embarrassed, and like he tripped on a trash can, and then it just shows her kind of like awkwardly looking at him like, okay. Turns out she actually liked him. So I think that's what this is. Is like we have this full moon conjuncting Saturn in Capricorn. The moon already doesn't like to be here. It's already having to emotionally grow up. It's already having to not push away its emotions, no, not that, not disregard its emotions, never, but to remember that you don't want to just be completely ruled by your emotions. And I say that as a Scorpio Sun Pisces moon. You don't want to completely be ruled by your emotions. You want to acknowledge them, work through them, process them, so you can move on. That's why the moon is the fastest moving planet, we're supposed to actually, we're not very good at processing our emotions, because if we were, things would come fast, but they would leave fast too, because the moon moves so fast. We are actually, I believe we are actually here to learn emotions and how to master emotions, because it's by mastering the emotions, which is more of a spirit, it's more towards the spiritual realm of things, when we ascend to these higher dimensions and things manifest really quickly because of our emotions and because of the conjunction of our emotions on our mind, because things will manifest a lot quicker in those dimensions. But if we don't master our emotions in this realm, when we get to those realms, we'll just be manifesting all kinds of crazy stuff. And then it's like, I feel like that's part of the reason why we come here, is to get to master more of our emotions, you know. But it's like, it's going to be King Kong's in that north node, so there's going to be this awkward stare with the moon and our emotions conjuncting Saturn, looking over at the north node of Leo, which wants to just play, wants you to be happy, wants you to get into your heart, wants you to feel that jubilation, that exhilaration for life, to just shine and radiate your love and your light uncompromisingly. But then your emotion is gonna be like, the last time I did that, it wasn't well received, because you have to consider where the North Node, it's opposing Mars right now, which is retrograde in Aquarius. So maybe it wasn't well received. And also look at Chiron, which is in Aries, which is Mars ruled. So there are wounds there as well. Even though Aries and Aquarius sextile each other. And Chiron does go retrograde here soon. So we'll be going internal with our wounds. We'll be examining those too. This is a very powerful full moon, because it's really asking us, is like, look, you're human. Like, you are an infinite spiritual being, but you are playing a human character. You are playing this human avatar. And the cool thing about this human avatar is actually upgrading. It's evolving. That's what we're feeling. We're feeling this upgrade of our human avatar. And we have to embrace the fact that we all have fucked up. We all have hurt people. But, and yeah, hurt people, but also heal people. I think that any moon that you have, like the full moon on Cancer or Capricorn, as well as the new moon, these spots are very healing in nature. This is actually why we have the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic. Why do you think we have the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn? And I know there's an actual astronomical reason for that, and I probably should have researched that before coming on here, but it's just interesting. And I'm pretty sure that even has to do with the fact. I'm pretty sure that even has to do with the fact that this is called the strawberry full moon. So it's gonna carry with it the energy and vibration of like a pinkish, reddish aura, which is really, I have a color deck, and a lot of those cards are about awakening your passion, getting into your heart, and even overcoming obstacles. Because plum is a version of that. It's, even though it's more towards the purple aspect, it's kind of another version of it. So we are being asked to overcome obstacles, overcome our past, overcome who we were yesterday, a week ago, like, you know, a month ago, a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15, 20, however many years. We're being asked to have compassion on that version of ourselves. One of the things that I do, a practice that I have, is I will go back to different versions of myself in different times, and I'll tell that person that it's okay, you're going to make it through, you're worthy, you're fine. And I literally will talk to my younger self. And I started doing this based off of what I saw in the movie Interstellar, how essentially he was like talking to his own daughter, and it was like he was her savior, even though like it even showed how timelines kind of collapse on top of each other. And I think that's what we're feeling. You're definitely, I have to even talk about this, as time is ruled by Capricorn, and with this full moon, this is definitely going to bring to a head a lot of different timelines that are collapsing on each other, disintegrating and integrating into this timeline. So be prepared, especially since this full moon technically happens at 12:55 midnight, at least Eastern Standard Time, and even on the West Coast, it's going to be later. It's going to be like, what, I guess 9:55. We're going into the evening time, so it's going to be like the dreams that we have tonight into tomorrow are going to be really intense and crazy, and they're going to kind of let you know of where you need to let go of control to gain control of your life. And they're going to let you know how you can forge more emotional intelligence as well. And then right after that, we have Mercury going into Leo. So it's like the sun is at 6 degrees of Capricorn. I mean, 6 degrees of Cancer for this full moon, and we have Mercury right at the edge of Cancer. So we have pretty much both sides of Cancer covered right now, and this is really, really asking us to, yes, in many ways embrace sensitivities, but also learn that there's strength that comes from being sensitive, and there's also a great strength that comes from being compassionate with ourselves and stepping up to the plate. I think honestly with this full moon, the only way that you fail is if you just simply don't step up to the plate. If you don't do something different. Like for me, I've been a hermit for a while lately. Like I've been just like hermiting up in my apartment and yeah, making videos and all that stuff, but I've just been hermiting up. And I haven't really been getting out into the world. And I've had this frustration of not really getting out to the world and getting to know people and letting people know like, hey, I'm the Aquarian Adepts. This is what I do. I do astrology. I like to write and do poetry, blah 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 blah. So like now I'm actually here, drove through the rain to get here, and it was about an hour drive from where I live, but I've been to this thing a few times, and I was like, I really want to go, so I'm here. Brought some paint with me, even because I think you can have wine, so I even brought some wine for them too, and I'm gonna have a good time and mingle and meditate and connect with amazing creative individuals. That's the only way that your life is going to change. You have to surround yourself with the vibration of that which you seek. That's the only way that your life is going to change. And you do it as often as you can. You surround yourself with those people. This is Capricorn we're talking about. So this does deal with people. This in many ways does deal with people. And it deals with healing people. It deals with healing tradition. It deals with healing order. It deals with healing these aspects. Healing our collective. Healing society. We're being asked to step up to the plate, and Saturn is not necessarily a bad thing, especially since Saturn is retrograde. If anything, when Saturn is retrograde, it's more of a comedian. Like a lot of people like to think it's one of the malefics, and like Jupiter is one of the benefics, but Jupiter can be mean too, because Jupiter will make you experience something. Even it doesn't have to be good or bad, it doesn't have to be like just good, it could be what we perceive as bad, even though there's no such thing as good or bad. But Jupiter will just make you experience something so you gain knowledge from it. Saturn's like, are you sure you want to do that? Saturn is the old sagely wise man that we don't want to listen to whatever they have to say. Saturn is Jupiter in like 30 or 40 years, because Jupiter is like the crazy uncle who's in his like 40s or 50s that is in the midst of his adventures. Even though he probably shouldn't be having those adventures still at that age, he probably shouldn't be going to the club still at that age and doing all these crazy wacky things, but Jupiter does it because he's the adventurer. He does that stuff. Saturn is the 80, 90-year-old man who's sarcastic, who is such a freaking comedian, who is surprisingly good with the kids. But at the same time, yeah, you might not necessarily want to hear what he has to say. You might not necessarily want to hear, it's like, oh, well, I did that several years back and it was fun. Saturn has done some things. Saturn has, like, I'm just channeling right now. Saturn's a little bit crazier than you think. Saturn can get kind of down there, man. Don't this is what makes Capricorns kind of like weirdly alluring, from like a sexual sense, because it's like they carry with them this power about them, you know. They carry with them this power about them, and it's just maybe I'm saying this because I'm a Scorpio and supposedly our energy sucks on each other, and apparently we're like we're good together. But it's like there's something about this that be said about that. Of course, we have to consider that Lilith is here, so it's actually giving Capricorn a bit of that sexual energy, but Saturn is like that 80-year-old sagely man who actually has a sense of humor if you get past all of the, you're moaning and whatever, because Saturn's trying to tell you, you should do this, or maybe you should do that, or maybe you do that. Whereas you see, Jupiter would represent knowledge and stuff, and kind of Aquarius too. Although I would say Aquarius really represents, no, Aquarius would represent knowledge in many ways. I think that Aquarius is in many ways just a lot of the quantum information, quantum knowledge, and like that. Kind of real science in a sense. But you have to take it a step further, But Capricorn is, like I said, the older man who has a bit of humor. If you can get past of the whole, back in my day, we did this and that, and you are moaning there. But then you find out that a lot of these things that they're saying is very applicable. So we're having to grow up a bit with this full moon. We're having to grow up. We're having to come out of our shell a bit. We're being almost kind of dragged out of our shell a bit with Saturn being there. But since Saturn is retrograde, Saturn's not really going to be as hard on us. In fact, Saturn's going to kind of be like, okay, are you going to step up to the plate? Are you going to do it? It's like, I taught you what you need to know at this time. Now, are you going to apply it? This is a full moon about application. Are you going to apply, or are you going to apply changes in your life where you shift your vibration so you can attract the life that you really want? Are you going to continue down the same road and then end up complaining about it and then end up shoving things on top of your discomfort just to shield yourself from the discomfort, because that's what you've been told to do? You've been told to shield yourself from your discomfort. It's going to be a full moon where it's going to be hard for you to shield yourself from your discomfort. It's going to come out. It's going to come to the surface. And you're going to have to work really fucking hard to shield it if you do. This will be a dangerous night to, do whatever you want, of course. I might drink a little bit tonight. But if you do it to hide from certain emotions and hide from certain aspects of yourself, and this will be a dangerous night to try and escape from your emotions and to deal with them as they come up, to grow and evolve and to forge this emotional compassion, this fortitude, this strength, this intelligence, to know that you really have the ability to create your life in the way that you want. So, and I'm just gonna draw a card for everyone for the collective. Interesting here that the first card right on the bottom is actually the Devil card, which is ruled by Capricorn. So, yeah, there might be some temptations tonight, for sure. But really, what you want to do is just, like I said, if you simply just step up to the plate, you want to embrace failure in many ways with this full moon. Embrace the fact that you have failed. Embrace the fact that you have fallen on your face and got mud all over yourself. Embrace the fact that you have fallen down and you have scraped up your knees and your elbows. Embrace it. Embrace the fact that you have fallen down. Embrace the fact that you have fucked up. Embrace the fact that you are not perfect. Because that's exactly what you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be perfect. This isn't the place for that. This isn't the space for that. This is not the dimension for that. It's not. It simply is not. What card is this that is kind of bent up? Look at this. We actually have the King of Cups. So the King of Cups is asking us to really have compassion for ourselves. The King of Cups is certainly emotionally intelligent, to where the King of Cups understands that if someone comes into his court and needs some assistance, the King of Cups actually has compassion and will allow this person into their court, having the intelligence to know, like, to keep an eye on him, of course, but he's not just going to reject him. The King of Swords might be a little bit more stern, trying to figure out, all right, what are you doing here? What do you want? They might try to figure out their ulterior motive. The King of Wands might try and figure out a way to benefit off this person. But the King of Cups is going to be, be a little bit more compassionate, understanding, and that's what you want to do. You want to kind of tap into that King of Cups energy, and anything that comes up to the surface as far as like aspects of your childhood or your younger self that need to be healed today, through this night and into tomorrow morning. Embrace your inner child and tell your inner child that it is okay to mess up. It's okay to not come in first place all the time. You're not going to come in first place all the time. In fact, you'll never fucking learn. You'll never fucking learn if you come in first place all the time. The second card that we have for this is actually Judgment. So this is really, this is like just cause and effect. What you do will come back. So are you to the plate? Are you actually going to do things differently? Are you actually going to step into your unique, awesome role that only you can fulfill within this collective? Are you going to do that? Because it's actually the most selfish thing you can do is not be authentic. And I know we're learning more how to be authentic and stuff like that. The authenticity movement is something that's kind of like really taken off right here. But it's like the most selfish thing you can do is actually not be authentic, to actually not embrace all of who you are, because then you're hiding that aspect from the world. You're hiding that light from the world. And yeah, we all have light and dark. This card just flipped up. We have, it's just interesting. The King of Wands heard me talking about him, so he decided to come up. This means that you actually can't initiate things forward. But I think the King of Wands coming up here with all the cups is that first we need to really embrace who we are at this moment and have compassion for who we are at this moment and who we've been in the past. But also, the King of Wands is asking us, is like, you know what? It doesn't mean that you can't change. It doesn't mean that you can't initiate some fire and some passion to move things forward. It doesn't mean that you out there and knock it out of the fucking park. Yeah, step up to the plate and don't not step up to the plate. We're gonna draw one more card. I think not stepping up to the plate is the only way that is the only way that you fail at this. Even if you hit the ball out of bounds 10 times in a row, even if you're bowling and you step up to that line to bowl, even if you get 10 gutters in a row, you did better than someone who did not even step up to try and knock the pins down. That's what this full moon is about. So just do something, just step up and to continue moving forward in that way, and it will pay off. The worst thing that you can do is nothing. Unless you're Patrick Star, and you actually can get a reward for doing nothing, this card wanted to flip up. Then that's the only way. The last card that we actually have here is the Six of Swords. This is us leaving behind fears of being able to connect with other people. This is us leaving behind fears of communicating our purpose and our truth and then not being, accepted. We first have to accept it ourselves. But the Six of Swords here is really asking us to be like, you know what, to embrace our voice, our unique voice, and who we uniquely are, to embrace our emotions, to have this emotional intelligence, to also, and really to just believe in ourselves and tell ourselves, I am worthy. I can leave this situation behind that doesn't really feel all that great. I can actually change. I can actually do something about it and do something about it. And what has to happen is the mindset shift. That's why Mercury still lives in Cancer during this time, during this full moon. There has to be a mind shift when it comes to thinking about our emotions and how we manifest with our emotions. There has to be a mental shift first. Once we shift mentally and we leave behind old thought patterns that no longer serve us, we will find ourselves arriving in the place of our dreams. And even when we get there, we'll realize that there's so much more to explore and see and grow and evolve, and we'll just be elated by how we just start manifesting incredible adventures for ourselves. And we come into just a deeper appreciation for all of the facets of life. We'll appreciate the wins. We'll appreciate the losses. We'll appreciate the ties. I think what we're aiming for is a win-win situation now. So there's definitely going to be a lot of ties now. And a lot of people don't like ties, especially here in America. But I don't know. If you've ever seen a 3-3 football match, it's one of the most exciting things in the world. That is it for your reading today. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. If you'd like a personal reading with me, you can follow the link in the description below to the AquarianAdepts.com. And always remember, my beautiful brothers and sisters, to keep moving forward, to stay focused, and Yahoo! Smile up.